slightly, I don't say different, but different sort of view. It might be a different size. But anyways, last week we were working on z-sorting. I believe we were working on z-sorting. I did a cast over the weekend. It was too long to upload to YouTube, so you're going to have to just catch it on Twitch. But one thing I was working on over the weekend, because I've just been really excited about this, is actually extracting out the way the movement works. And so you used to have it in the process command, and we just say like, where's my cursor at? We used to say like process command, and now we pass it off to the unit interaction manager. And so if we go to lib game server interaction, unit interactions, you see that move unit is actually just delegated straight to the battle unit move unit. Now this is the reason I'm doing this is we look here, the battle unit. I actually took move unit out of the cast and I made it its own function. This is where I calculate the distance and how long it's going to take. And I created this new thing called the main event queue. And this is so we can plug into our main battle event. And so now we just notify the front end here. And this will give us the ability to do pathfinding or do more logical things like pursuing units and stuff like that. And additionally, we can have it where we only send the update to the front end once, and then on the back end, we actually tween it here. We actually update the update unit movement, and then the main event queue gets called here as part of the process command. So we call the process commands, and then we run execute on the main event queue. Now we can take a look at the main event queue. And all this says is just queuing up into a list, and then when we call execute on every frame on the server side, we take that queue and call module function arguments against asynchronous tasks. So it should happen in parallel. And then we set the new state to a empty queue. So I'm just going to toss in a little bit of debugging just to show you how this is working out. So we're just going to say new position x, new position z. Okay, and this is going to go away. In fact, I had it gone in the first place. But just to show you what's happening here, we run our game server, and now when we run our app, we go here, we get connected, and there's our guy, and then when we right click, you'll see it happen. See, he'll actually move, and you'll see him tween into place, and you'll see it'll happen, and they'll stop at exactly the same time. So if we run back here, you'll see him actually run, and it should be pretty close to 0. There we go. So it's all lined up, and then as we move it around, it'll just keep updating. And we don't have to stop the tween like we do on the front end. It just kind of updates all the time. And monitor the performance on this. Here's our server side. We're running at 2% CPU, and as you can see, this process running in the background is very much not a problem. And it did go up just a little bit because we are processing all this printing in the background, so let's take that away. So what we're going to do is we're going to kill our server real quick, and just to prove it to you that this is a pretty light job in the terms of a server. So you can see we're still running very low. There we go. So it's just running about 2%, and it's doing all the work, doing all that tweening in a separate thread. And it's very opaque to us. It's just doing it automatically. It's the power of regular externally. And so what we can do is we'll spawn up a few of these, and I know this shouldn't be that much work, but it's just to demonstrate that this is really not heavy on the server at all. So we're just going to go over here. Now we got 3 units on screen, and the music is just madness. So we got, oops, so you see that the CPU usage is very low. Alright, let's do this. So we're gonna see if I can get away with it this way. He's over here. No? You? No? This way. Okay, so the music is madness. Let me turn that down. And so now, if we go here, 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 you'll see that CPU, not a problem. So, very efficient and very useful, very effective. Okay, so we're back on our front end here. Our front end tests still be running well. Our server-side tests, I've kind of mucked them up a bit, and I'll take care of those. See where they're. There's mostly just the battle unit start link is a different signature. That's fine. But our tests are running well, and our Z sorting is working with all that as well. So I'm very happy with the way things are headed. Now, one thing I want to start digging into is I want to start getting into more interactions with the game. Now, the goal that I want is I want to set up that our main character in our game, I'm just going to keep this server running. The main character in our game, I want him to be special, and we're going to control him in a particular way. What I want to do is I want to do, what would I do here? I think okay, so hitting keys is bad. So I want to set it up to where WASD is going to control our character around. Now I want to make sure that on down on move, this is the mouse. I also made a change to our playground a little bit. If you want to take a look at that playground. Is I'm doing left click to connect to the game, and then right click to move our unit around. But that's one change I made. I want to make sure that I don't have any button stuff happening. We have an input, keyboard, input, mouse, input source. I wonder if this is it. On key down, on key out. So I'm just going to comment these out, figure out if that's the case. You also might see some debugging going on recently. I'm actually working on speeding up our object creation, and so that's what that is. And I'll kind of get into that later when I actually solve it. But you can actually take a look at it. It's under core. Maybe it's not. Yeah, object pool, object creator. So I'm actually storing things into a pool and reusing them. But it's not quite ready yet. There's some memory leaks in there. But that's okay, we're just in development. So it was the keys causing a problem. So let's figure out why That's a problem. It's likely the game input tools. And I bet you is we don't have a tool for input. Let's take a look here. Game input tools. Current tool, keyboard tool. So now what we need to do is I'm going to see if our core injection settings has our game input tools. Oops. Game input. Yeah, it doesn't because we don't really have one. So we're going to create a new one. We're going to call it tools, and we're going to create one that's called hero move tool. Actually, we could probably just call it default. Default tool. It's not just the hero move. We're going to have all kinds of things interacting with your keyboard. Really, the only difference is the tool would change if you were doing something like chat or something like that, and the keyboard's going to sort of shut down. So we're just going to do this, and we're going to implement keyboard tool. And our regular stuff we do here, I'm going to move our init up here. And that should be it. So what we're going to do is we're going to trace key event and the key and key up, activating default keyboard tool and deactivating. So we can actually sort of track that. And now we need to make sure that those are being fired. Okay, so we need to where is our is a keyboard keyboard input source listener. I think there's it's in our test, that's in our playground. There we are. So we need to take that out. On game loop, we could take all this out as well. Invert. Okay, that's all part of our it's all part of the stuff that we don't need anymore. There we go. So we've cleared out that junk. And so we need to add this to here. So we got our logger, asset loader. This is probably a good spot here. Subscriber. Right here. So take it right here. And then this is going to be the input source listener. Import that. And we're going to use the object factory. And then what we need to do is we need to set the default. So take this out. Probably just cast this as the same thing. Keyboard listener. In fact, I think what we're going to do instead printing tool. Printing source input listener. We're going to need this in here as well. So let's do our mouse listener, mouse input source, mouse input source. Mouse input source, which is what we want. Game input tools, that's one thing we don't have. So I think what we can do is we'll call it game input tools. Signed, I guess. And this is going to be the implements game input tools. And I believe this should be a getter and setter. Just double check. Yes, it's just a getter. Now, how do we sign it? Key event. I think we're going to need to make it a getter and setter. I'm going to need to be able to change it. So, getter and setter. There we go. So now, let me set the current tool. This is kind of weird. It's in a weird order. There we go. Now we have our source listener. And then we've got our mouse. Let me manage those. Just double checking here. We've got our input tools, default tool there. Actually, default keyboard. In fact, we should probably change this not to default. We want to have battle keyboard tool. There we go. It's more descriptive. And here, that when we assign the tool, I'm going to say value deactivate the old one. So keyboard tool deactivate value activate, and then we assign it. And the same here. This is going to be the current tool deactivate activate, and there we go. Should do all the work. All the work is done. Okay, so back to our instruction settings. We need our input tools. This is going to be assigned input tools object factory instance assigned input tools injector map value game input tools input tools. There we go. And now not sure why that's not resolved. Over mouse input source injector map value pointing input source listener mouse input source and keyboard listener. That's why I didn't resolve. Now we need to do input tools. And then we create one for our mouse. Call this battle mouse input battle mouse tool. Pointing tool. Implements pointing input pointing tool. Got lots going on here. So the name this is just gonna be a getter, and then let's grab this business, stick it to the top. Okay. Not sure why we have toolon deactivated here, but we have it. Not much going on with it anyways, so continue on because we really want to put the keyboard here. There we go. Input tools. Current tool is equal to mouse input source or mouse. Ooh. I'm going to do object factory, create instance. This is going to be the battle pointing tool. Input tools. Keyboard tool is object factory create instance. Battle keyboard tool. Let's see if that builds. Nope. Okay. Assigned game input tools. This is missing a semicolon, 2 places. And then we need is bar. Assigned game input tools on 15. Oh, there's no args, so I'll just do that. Actually, yeah. There we go. So it'll build. And what we need to do is we're going to go to our let's go to our keyboard tool. Oh, we are just choosing. Okay, that's good. Let's find out why this is. Set current tool. Oh, okay. We're going to go to here. We got one problem is our current tool is not equal to null. If keyboard tool is equal to null. That should solve that. Do our build. Everything is ready to go. So our keys are coming through as expected. There we go. Neat. Okay. So now, actually, you know what? We didn't get. Oh yeah, we did get it. We did get the key down, key up. So that's great. One more thing I want to test is if I hold down W, let go. Okay, so it assumes it's always down. See that? A. Okay. So now, keyboard tool. Let's say switch key event key case W A S D. Okay. We're going to say trace move north. It's a bit easier to do. D trace move east. Move west. West. Trace move south. Move north, move east. That's what we need. We need both, okay? So, a couple of these cancel each other out. We got a little bit of logic to do here. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that when they do W, they move north, and then D, they move east. If they do both together, they go north, east. I got these backward. No, these are right. Northeast. Okay, so something very predictable here. M unit create going to be input tools battle keyboard tool test. Mock. Let's try that again. Alright, we have the battle keyboard tool battle keyboard tool, and what we need to do is we need to find a way to set the direction. In fact, what I'll do is create a variable current pressed keys array. Now I'm going to make this a list of key events. No, string. Current pressed keys equals new list. So now, keyboard tool equals new keyboard tool, init, and what we'll do is we'll activate it. I'll take this out. Keyboard tool, activate that. Okay. Should store key events. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change this to a map because we don't want to have it registering more than one key event for whatever reason. always make sure that we only have one. Alright. And actually at this point we can just do the key event. And there we go. So keyboard tool, actually what we're going to need to do is inside of our store, yeah, key event equals key event. Seems excessive. Alright, key event key equals W. On key down. Keyboard tool on key down key event. Assert are equal W. Actually, key event should be keyboard tool current press keys W. And what do we got here? Mock game input tools. Okay. That's going to cause a different issue. Okay. Now we're saying line 28. Can I press keys? Get. And that fails. So now we're going to take these out. Some of these work now. I'm going to do current press keys set W key event. So that should get that to pass. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to create another key event. This is going to be D, and this is going to be, actually I want to do this as 2, D, and that should set those up. So that fails, but now it should pass. So now, test should remove key on, key down, or key up. doing this, and then on key up, cert is null. There we go. Add one more. D on key down, on key up. And one more thing we're going to do. And what? On 30. Oh, that's right. So what we need to do is we need to handle contradicting directions. So, and that'll be our last test. So, test should remove all key downs on conflicting directions. So now we're going to do this, and if we have north and south at the same time, we should just have no events coming out of them. So let's run that. And there it is our failure case. So now we need to do this for this other set of keys as well. So it's going to be A, and D, A, D. Oops. D. Don't need to delete that. So now, if press keys exists W, and current press keys exists S, W and S. So remove all keys, or this case here, which is A, D, F, remove all keys. And we'll do move movement, move all movement. Okay, it's not gonna just do that, I guess. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna say current press keys remove W A S D. Oops. And success. Okay, so we're getting close. What we're going to need to do tomorrow is we're going to need to, after we get past this check here, we're going to need to figure out which direction we want them to move according to their current location. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to inject the hero and then tell him to move, and then we need to handle the up case where we tell them to stop. But that's not for today, so we'll get to that tomorrow. Happy coding. See you tomorrow.